Hello everyone, and today we're looking at a car that feels like somebody opened a portal between the 1930s and the distant future. This is the Hispano-Suiza Carmen, one of the most unusual and visually unforgettable hypercars ever created. And honestly, the Carmen doesn't feel like a normal modern automobile at all. It looks like somebody took the legendary Dubonnet Xenia from 1938, mixed it with futuristic science fiction technology, and transformed the result into a fully electric luxury missile. The first thing that immediately shocks you is the design. In a world filled with hypercars, covered in giant spoilers, razor-sharp body panels, and aggressive styling tricks, the Carmen goes in the complete opposite direction. Instead of intimidation, it uses elegance. The flowing body panels, enclosed rear wheels, stretched proportions, and dramatic rear fenders all directly reference the legendary Hispano-Suiza Dubonnet Xenia. And honestly, once you notice the connection, you can never unsee it again. What makes the Carmen feel so different from everything else is that it doesn't simply imitate the future the way most hypercars do. Instead of looking like a fighter jet or spaceship, it resembles an Art Deco sculpture that somehow learned how to travel at insane speeds. Even standing still, the car feels alive. The body curves flow naturally from front to rear without sharp interruptions, while the massive rear wheel covers give the silhouette an almost surreal appearance. In some angles, the Carmen honestly looks more like a concept drawing from an old futuristic magazine than a production automobile. And maybe that's exactly why it feels memorable. Most modern supercars try desperately to look aggressive and futuristic at the same time. The Carmen already understands something important. True elegance never becomes outdated. That's why even surrounded by modern exotic cars, the Carmen still manages to dominate every room it enters. The rebirth of Hispano-Suiza itself is already an incredible story. Before World War II, Hispano-Suiza was one of the most prestigious automotive manufacturers on Earth, competing directly with brands like Rolls-Royce, Bugatti, Duesenberg, and Mercedes-Benz. Their vehicles were famous for engineering sophistication, smooth, powerful engines, aviation-inspired technology, and handcrafted luxury. Wealthy aristocrats, industrialists, celebrities, and royalty all wanted Hispano-Suizas because they represented prestige at the absolute highest level. But after decades of disappearing from the automotive spotlight, the company suddenly returned with something nobody expected: a fully electric hypercar. And honestly, reviving a legendary brand like this is incredibly risky. Many historic automotive companies return only to release generic modern cars that completely ignore their heritage. But somehow, the Carmen avoided that mistake entirely. The moment you see it, you instantly understand that this could only be a Hispano-Suiza. Underneath the elegant retro-futuristic bodywork, though, the Carmen is an absolute monster. The car is built around a lightweight carbon fiber monocoque chassis, similar to what you would find in Formula One or Le Mans prototype race cars. The body panels themselves are also made largely from carbon fiber to reduce weight while maintaining incredible rigidity. And unlike many electric vehicles designed mainly for efficiency or environmental marketing, the Carmen was engineered first and foremost to deliver extreme performance. The standard Carmen already produces around 1,005 horsepower, which honestly sounds absurd enough by itself. But then, Hispano-Suiza decided that apparently 1,000 horsepower wasn't dramatic enough, so they created something even crazier: the Hispano-Suiza Carmen Boulogne. And honestly, this is where the story becomes completely insane. The Carmen Boulogne is essentially the darker, more aggressive, and more powerful evolution of the standard Carmen. The name Boulogne references Hispano-Suiza's historic racing victories at the Georges Boyot Cup races near Boulogne-sur-Mer during the 1920s, directly connecting the modern hypercar back to the company's forgotten racing heritage. So despite being fully electric and futuristic, the Boulogne still carries the spirit of old Hispano-Suiza race cars from nearly 100 years ago. The Boulogne produces approximately 1,114 horsepower, making it even more powerful than the standard version. Engineers also reduced weight further by using additional exposed carbon fiber throughout the body and interior. Compared to the elegant and luxurious standard Carmen, the Boulogne feels darker, sharper, and much more performance-oriented. The exposed carbon sections, aerodynamic details, and aggressive trim elements give the car a far more intimidating personality, while still preserving the beautiful flowing proportions that define the Carmen family. Performance is absolutely brutal. Both versions accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, but the Boulogne feels even more savage because of its lighter construction and more aggressive tuning. And since the power comes from electric motors, acceleration feels immediate and relentless. There are no gear shifts interrupting the power delivery and no waiting for revs to climb. The car simply launches forward with terrifying force the instant the driver touches the throttle. And honestly, this creates one of the strangest contrasts imaginable. Because visually, the Carmen looks graceful, artistic, and sophisticated, but mechanically it behaves like a missile. The battery pack is mounted low inside the chassis to improve balance and center of gravity, while advanced suspension systems help control the enormous power output. Top speed is electronically limited to around 180 miles per hour, while driving range sits around 250 miles, depending on driving conditions and configuration. One of the most fascinating things about the Carmen is that Hispano-Suiza intentionally avoided creating a cold, minimalist interior like many modern electric cars. Instead, the cabin feels emotional, dramatic, and handcrafted. Leather, aluminum, exposed carbon fiber, polished metal details, and custom stitching create an atmosphere much closer to a luxury grand tourer than a sterile technological experiment. And honestly, that's something many modern hypercars completely forget. Performance alone does not create personality. The Carmen has personality everywhere. Even the small details feel carefully considered. The wheel designs reference classic aerodynamic styling from the Art Deco era. The rear lighting blends smoothly into the bodywork instead of looking exaggerated, and the aerodynamic elements are hidden elegantly rather than screaming for attention. Most modern hypercars try to look aggressive. The Carmen tries to look unforgettable. And honestly, it succeeds. Another fascinating detail is how incredibly exclusive these cars are. Production numbers remain extremely limited, making the Carmen one of the rarest modern hypercars on Earth. Each vehicle is heavily customizable, much like the custom coach-built luxury cars of the 1920s and 1930s. Wealthy buyers can configure materials, colors, finishes, and interior details, almost like commissioning a piece of rolling artwork, rather than simply purchasing a car. And honestly, that connection to classic coach-building culture makes the Carmen feel even more special. Most modern hypercars are designed around social media attention and giant marketing campaigns. The Carmen feels personal, almost handcrafted, like a modern interpretation of pre-war automotive artistry. Driving one of these machines must feel completely surreal. Imagine sitting inside a vehicle inspired by one of history's greatest aerodynamic masterpieces, while silently unleashing more than 1,000 horsepower through electric motors. It's like combining two different centuries of automotive history into one machine. Today, the Hispano-Suiza Carmen, and especially the more extreme Hispano-Suiza Carmen Boulogne, remain among the most visually distinctive electric hypercars ever created. In an era where many performance cars are slowly beginning to look similar, the Carmen family feels refreshingly original. These cars prove that electric vehicles do not have to sacrifice beauty, emotion, historical identity, or artistic design in order to achieve extreme performance. And maybe that's the greatest achievement of the Carmen project. Not just the horsepower, not just the speed, but the fact that Hispano-Suiza successfully brought the soul of one of automotive history's most elegant luxury brands back into the modern world without losing what made it special in the first place.